Float on over to Big Bad Toy Store and get your It figures at the link in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there collectors, Steven here, and I'm bringing you yet another It figure review. This time it's going to be the second release of a figure from the 1990 TV miniseries, and it's going to be Pennywise version 2. So instead of doing an accessory set, NECA decided to do another release of the ultimate 1990 Tim Curry Pennywise body release, and they included some accessories. And some fans were kind of scratching their heads because is another whole release worth it? Could it really have just been an accessory set? Well, I'm pleased to say, probably not. So let's take a look to see whether or not this one's worth adding into your collection. The original release of the Tim Curry Pennywise was actually pretty rock solid for the most part. There were a couple of smaller quality control issues that some folks had, including the little dust ruffle neck frill thing that he had coming unglued from the factory. There were a couple of issues with Pennywise being able to stand, and then some of the printing on his jacket not always coming out the cleanest. That was a rather rare one, to be perfectly honest with you. But other than that, I'm happy to say that this figure kind of fixes those issues. So as you're able to see here, Pennywise is able to freely stand, and the ruffle around his neck is actually a new sculpt. It's not all glued together. They are their own parts that are joined together. So yeah, Pennywise also is sporting a different paint scheme, same colors, it's just that for the main body, for the yellow, yes, it's in yellow plastic, but they actually used some orange paint for dry brushing to really enhance some of the details. For Pennywise's purple and green paint, because I'm not quite sure exactly what kind of clothing that might be, as part of his jumpsuit, I don't know. Anyway, that is actually using a bit more of a metallic paint compared to the first release, and it does look good. Now, of course, we do have that neck ruffle, like I said, and it is in 3 separate parts, which are glued together. Do be careful here, because if you do pull, you may rip the glue that is holding them at one connection part apart. The only issue on my Pennywise here is that on one of the little pom-poms that he has, the paint is starting to peel a bit, which I think I can take care of that as long as I am careful. Once again, the pattern on the vest that Pennywise has is fantastic as well. So overall here for Pennywise, he is looking pretty dang sweet. But that doesn't mean when we look at the accessories, there won't be a couple of other issues we need to take note of. Those who own the original release of the Tim Curry Pennywise figure should already notice something that was changed, but let's go ahead and really demonstrate this, shall we? Yep. So the articulation, the joints, they basically remained a bit unchanged, but what's really cool here is that they took notice of one of the biggest issues with the original figure and they fixed it. The ankles actually work, so you can get him to stand. That's great. Otherwise, the articulation basically remains unchanged with a ball jointed neck, only a single ball joint. The other is just a peg that is glued into Pennywise's body. So this way we can move Pennywise's head around, get him to look in all sorts of directions. Be careful because his head does like to pop off. Since they made it easier to swap the heads, you will find that it's easier to pop them off. For the shoulders, we do have swivels and hinges, so this way we can raise and lower the arms as well as spin them around. We are going to have double hinge elbows, which on both of them, I found the hinges which plug into the biceps to be a bit more difficult to move, so do keep that in mind. There we go. But what's cool about that is since they are plugged into both the bicep and the forearm, we do have another set of swivels there. So this way we can move the arms around a bit more and get a better range of movement. For the wrists, all of them we are going to have swivel hinge movement. Do be careful of paint transfer as you're using the different hand parts because it will happen. You can already see I got some blue on the wrist there. Not the best, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. So yes, swivel, hinge movement. For the main body of Pennywise here, we do have an ab crunch, which is going to be on a ball joint. So this way we can twist and turn Pennywise from side to side, move him back a little bit, have him lean forward. Unfortunately, these little pom-poms are going to get in the way of the articulation a bit. Now for the hips, we are going to have, technically they're swivels. So this way we can spin the legs forward and back about that far. Then there are going to be hinges, which allow you to move the legs out about that far, right? Then where the hips plug into the thighs, we are going to have thigh swivels, single hinge knees, and ball jointed ankles. Pretty cool. And like I said, the ankles actually work. Now on mine, this is actually just a fun discovery, and it isn't just specifically to this Pennywise figure. This hip joint was frozen, and I could not move the leg at all, just wouldn't move. What I actually found out is that the way NECA does the hip joints is that one of them will have like a tube and the other one plugs into it. So the reason why you can move one leg and get the other to move is that this hip joint is actually plugged into this one on a tube that's in there kind of. And yeah, so they're connected. So you can see you can kind of move the one and not the other, but if you move the other one, then you move that one. Makes sense. I'll maybe do that in better detail one day. But yeah, overall, good articulation. You can get them to stand without a stand, which is great. Now for accessories, and what does this Pennywise come with? Well, a lot of folks felt that this just warranted an accessory set, but if you haven't noticed already, I feel they were wrong. So Pennywise does come with 2 alternate heads. Pennywise comes with 2 different monstrous hands, comes with the little book that Pennywise reaches out of, comes with a turn back now balloon, a hand to hold the balloon, and then we technically get another set of splayed hands. Oh, we do also get a piece of exploded wrist there. Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at the different head sculpts that we get, because some folks are a little confused here. First, we get the obviously different head sculpt where Pennywise is yelling or screaming or attempting to bite an arm off, because we know Pennywise can do that, which does look pretty ferocious. And then we get another head, which is kind of smiling, and he's grinning a little bit here. Now for this one, some folks are saying that this is virtually identical to the default head sculpt, but to that I say this is meant to look like the Pennywise from the poster. So yes, he is meant to be smiling, much like the default head, but at the same time, this is a bit more iconic. Now, something of note, upon zooming in really close with macro photography, it looks like NECA is using digital printing for the eyes. So that's pretty cool. Now, when swapping the heads, it's very easy to do on this figure. The yelling face, that one was a bit more difficult to swap compared to the original release of Pennywise, but here's where we have a quality control issue. The yellow for the main body on Pennywise really does like to rub off on the different head sculpts on the base of the neck. So if you are a perfect mint condition collector, unfortunately, years down the line, if you're going to be buying this one used, you're going to have that issue. Also, since the neck frill is not glued in place, it is going to be moving around, which means it's going to be rubbing up against the vest and the jumpsuit of Pennywise, which means you're going to not only have paint transfer, you are also going to have some of the finer details on the vest rub off onto the frill. So if that's going to bother you, then you may want to skip out on this release. Yep. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the accessories. So Pennywise does come with that photo book where he is reaching out and he's looking to grab the loser's club. This is a very neat accessory, except for the book is entirely black. There's nothing on either cover of it, which is a little disappointing. And that picture of Pennywise is just a decal that's on there. Closer to say it's more so a sticker, which mine was actually kind of peeling off a little bit right out of the box. But there is that hand that is reaching out, and as you will see at the end of this review, this can actually be a very fun accessory. Though I do wish a little bit more detail was put into this. This is an iconic release for this figure. Now, Pennywise does come with some alternate hand parts, and the first one that he comes with is going to be that giant tentacle monster hand. And you've seen enough Japanese anime to know what this can be used for. So for here, it's a little sloppy just because they used that sort of brownish paint to cover up the white joint where it plugs into the wrist. And once you do pop this in for the first time, it is going to just flake off. So do expect that. There is also, like I made mention, an exploding sort of ripped cloth wrist part that you're going to be putting that on first, and then you just plug in the hand. No big deal. Pennywise does also come with another monster hand. I believe this is supposed to be the werewolf hand. I'm not quite sure on this one. My memory's a little hazy from the miniseries, and I am not watching it again. But it is still a cool hand to have, so this way he can attack some other characters on your shelf. Obviously, since this is a Pennywise release, we are going to have a balloon, and we do get one that says turn back now. Pennywise does also get a modified hand from the first release, so this way he can hold one single balloon. Now, the turn back now print on it does look fine, a little rough around the edges, which is just okay, considering this is going to be a character who's running around in the sewers, but the actual build quality of the balloon leaves a little bit to be desired, considering you can see a seam running around the sides of the balloon, much more so than you can with previous balloons released in the different It figures. Now, I did make mention that Pennywise does come with an extra set of splayed hands, and that is mostly true. In the box, you'll see that there is an extra hand included, and there is a hand in the photo book that is popping out. You can actually pop that hand off, and you can use that for your Pennywise. The fingers are a bit more splayed than the default hands that come with this Pennywise, so if you want to have some fun with this, you can. And likewise, since you can pull off the hand from the photo book, you can replace it with another hand of your choice. So definitely have some fun with that. So overall for this release, Pennywise does come with some pretty cool accessories, some iconic ones, and some nice head sculpts with some better detailing on it compared to what they were able to do about this time last year, so kudos to NECA. Ultimately, though, I would suggest getting both Pennywise releases to really maximize your display, and you know there are some effect parts on the market to really help you out there. Now we're going to go ahead and move on over to a size comparison with a recently released 2017 It Pennywise figure, the Dancing Clown, so this way you have an idea, if you're just looking to get the most recent releases, how big these two would be together on your shelf. Now here's a real quick side-by-side comparison with the original 1990 Tim Curry It release, so this way you can see where the differences might be. And first and foremost, the original, he's kind of frumpy and just leaning forward, while this release is standing upright and is looking fine. I think there's a meme about this, something about a Chad. Yeah. Anyway, you can also see the clear differences in the paint application with the orange dry brushing on the new It and the more metallic paint scheme on the arms. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. The small improvements compared to the original release are amazing, and the accessories are fantastic. Yes, there are some quality control issues, but to be honest with you folks, this is the better of the two Tim Curry Pennywise figures in terms of just the overall awesomeness. But you still should get both. So if you're on the fence about this one, if you have the original, you don't know if you want this, I could say safely, yeah, this one's worth the purchase as well. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand-selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand-selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.